In this video, I will continue with the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that is from the 16th verse. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In this chapter, that is from the 16th verse, Lord Krishna explains alternatively about the Atma as well as the embodied soul. In reality, this embodied soul is not different from Atma. The traditional example given by the Vedantis to explain this concept of Jiva or the embodied soul is, just imagine some mud pots filled with water and kept on an open ground. Some water are very pure and some are not so pure, they are muddy. Let us imagine like that. At the noon time, the reflection of the sunlight directly falls on this water. So the water that is pure, it exactly reflects the reflection of the sunlight. But the water that is impure or marshy or muddy, it won't reflect that much. The reflection will be very dim. Now the concept here is, this mud pot in this drishtanta, the mud pot is taken as the body of the person, the physical gross body. And the mind is compared with the water in that pot. Water in that pot is compared with the mind. And the reflection of the sunlight in that water is compared with the reflection of the Atma, that is the Chittabhasa. So the mind that is very pure, it will reflect back the reflection of the Atma in a very bright way. But the mind that is impure, the reflection will not be that great. Now, if the mud pot is broken, the water along with the reflection is gone. But when the body disintegrates, the mind along with the reflection of the Atma, that is the Chittabhasa, it goes and take another form or another body. Now suppose if the water in the mud pot dries up, what will happen to the reflection? The reflection will go back to the sun or it is gone. In the same way, if the mind becomes very pure by thinking about Brahman repeatedly or thinking about the Atma repeatedly, then what happens is the mind itself will shine on its own and it will separate from the Chittabhasa. So the reflection of the Atma, that is the Chittabhasa, goes back to the Atma itself and the mind separates from the Atma. That is the liberation of the Jiva, or you can say the liberation of the mind, or you can say the liberation of the soul. And these impressions that is in the mind, mostly it will be Brahmakara vrittis, that is vrittis about the Atma, impressions about the Atma, but still it will have some very few impressions. Those impressions, that is the set of impressions in the mind that got separated from the Chittabhasa, it exists in this universe as Akashic impressions. Just like that, there are so many Akashic impressions of the sages in this universe. If we worship a particular sage, we get connected, our mind gets connected to that impressions. And we will get guidance, knowledge, and every help from those set of impressions, that is from those sages. So this is said as the liberation of the soul. And this is the traditional example given in Vedanta to explain the Jiva or the embodied soul. And about this embodied soul, the Jiva and the Atma, Lord Krishna has explained in this second chapter very clearly. Now let us start with the 16th verse. In my last video, I completed 15 verses, and this is the 16th verse of chapter 2, and this is a very profound sloka. Now let us see the meaning of this verse. नासतो विद्यते भावः नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः तत्त्वदर्शिभिः the knowers of the truth na basado vidyade bhavah that which is unreal will never come into existence. Na sat, na, that is not real. Know it. Bhavaha, it will never shine, or it will, that means it will never come into existence. Na abhavo vidyade sadaha, that will never go out of existence. Here it will not shine, it is said here, but it will not never go out of existence. It will never go out of existence what is real. So the unreal will never come into existence, and the real, it will never go out of existence. And the people who are the knowers of the truth, they can very clearly discriminate between the real and the unreal. It's a very deep verse. Because what all we see, we think it is real because we have trained our mind, or the science has trained our mind to believe and accept only what it comes in touches with the five senses. Science can only do it. It is that which lives with the five sense organs. But that is not alone this universe or this human life. There is so much beyond science. In fact, everything is beyond the science. So only when we see, we believe. Only when we hear it, we believe. And in today's time, only when we have proof, we believe. That is where you have to see. But what happens is, there are so many things in this world that has gone out of existence by the passing of time. See, Dwaraha, it has completely gone into the sea. The another place is Danishkoti. There are only skeletons of houses there. That is the only proof that people lived there. So some places, even in today's modern world, we see lot of paddy field, they are changing into buildings. So after 50 years or 100 years, this building also will go and something else will come. Like this, we have heard about in history, rivers are drying up, there is no trace for it. So what all have come into existence by the combination of the five basic elements? One day or other it will go out of existence. They are all unreal. But what is real and what is the one and only reality is the Atma, the pure infinite consciousness, which we cannot sense by the five senses. We have to go deep into it. Now we can get the theoretical knowledge, but we have to contemplate on it. Only if we believe, we contemplate on it, and we have to realize it. Anyway, some people who have realized it have written this. Why not believe it and proceed in that way? So that's what Lord Krishna says. Nasato vidyade bhavaha na abhavo vidyade sadaha. That which is sat will never goes out of existence, and that which is unreal, asat, it will never come into existence. And the people who are the knowers of truth, they know the difference between the Sat and Asat, that is the real and the unreal. And the traditional example for this, what the Vedantis give is the example of the rope and the snake. In the dim light, there was a snow lying on the floor. Some people think it is a snake, and some people think it is a water in that shape. Only by vichara, we come to know that it is neither snake or nor water, it is there, it is a rope. So what we took as a snake and we build up our emotion, getting a stick to beat it and all that, it's our imagination based on our maya. That is asat. And the basic difference between the sat, asat and mithya is, sat is always present, and it is present in the three periods of time. In the past, in the present and the future, it is eternal. No one knows when it began. And what is asat is, it is not present in the three periods of time. Just like what the Vedantis say at the blue as the Akasha Kamala. Can we see a lotus flower in the sky? So it is asat, not present in the three periods of time. What is mithya is, it appears that it is true, but it is not true. Just like the incident what I said a few minutes back. The paddy field, it was there. Even we have seen it. But after some time, it is not there. Some building was there. And after some time, maybe 50 or maybe 10 years later, it will not be there. Some other thing will be there. So it is not asset. Even the great mountains are happening like that. Great mountains, rivers and oceans, everything. So it is mithya. All this creation is mithya. It doesn't mean that we do not want to involve in this worldly life or we enjoy the worldly life or nothing like that. But only thing we have to take in mind is all these are not permanent. All cannot become saints and all sages, but we must have this idea in the back of the mind. This idea will bring us the stability of the mind. Not that at any adverse situation we have to think that all these are not real and everything is going to fade away in one day or other. It's not that, but this thought in our deep subconscious mind, this will make us a better person and gradually help us to merge with the Paramatma, that is Atma, that is our liberation. So the next verse of Bhagavad Gita, that is the 17th verse, again Lord Krishna tells about it. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyayas yasya na kaschit kartumarhati. Avinashi, that Atma is indestructible. And we are that Atma. But because we identify with Anatma, we feel that we will die. That being in us, the Jiva in us, that's what matters. Because what all we experience, it is not in the body, we experience through the body, but it is the mind that experiences. Whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever pain we have, even we have when we someone hurts our body, it goes to the mind, and if the mind is dumb, then we will not feel the pain, and the mind expresses it through the brain. But that is the connection between the mind and the body. It is the brain. The mind expresses, immediately connects with the brain and the brain to the body. That's why when we are in great surgery or something, they just dump the brain, because only that we can do, because that is a physical counterpart of the mind. So he says that this Atma, that is indestructible, not this Anatma. And this mind, the impression, the buddhi, everything comes into the section of Anatma. But the Atma is indestructible. Tad vidiyena sarvamidam tadad. That it is pervaded. That Atma is sarvamidam. It is pervaded everywhere. There is no place here without Atma. And this Atma is indestructible because it does not have any parts. It is not a mixture. It is just non-dual. So it has no impurities, it has no parts, and it is so subtle. This space itself is subtle, and the Atma is subtler than this. So it is indestructible. Vinasham Abhyayasyasya. Vinasham, destruction of this Abhyaya means imperishable. It cannot be perished. Everything in this world perishes. Many people say that even this world will go out of existence after 50,000 years or so. But everything is perishable, but this Atma is imperishable. No one can destruct this Atma. Anyone, kaschit, know that it is kartum arhasi. No one can do destruction to this Atma. He tells about, Lord Krishna teaches about the Atma here in this verse. The next verse, that is the 18th verse, is Antavanta ime dehaha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashino aprameyasya tasmadhyudyasva bharata. Antavanta ime deha. Deha means this body. There is end to this body. This body has an end. That is the gross body. Stulak sharira, it has an end. Nityasyokta sharirinaha. They say that this sharirina, that is the embodied soul in this, it is nitya because it has the thought of the behavior, because it has the chitabhasa attached with it. That jiva is nitya. Abhrameyam. Abhrameyam means immeasurable. It cannot be experienced by the senses. That is another meaning of it. Aprameyam means it is immeasurable, but in another sense, it cannot be experienced by the senses. It is so subtle. Tasmad yudhyasva bharata. You are only fighting with the bodies, physical bodies, the stula sharira, and the mind, it experiences it. And the mind, along with the jiva, it goes out of this physical body, even if you kill them. So why do you grieve for it? You are just destroying something very gross. You are not disturbing the jiva. You cannot kill that because indestructible. It is Atma. In reality, it is Atma. So why not grieve for it, Arjuna? Get up and fight. And the next verse, that is the 19th verse, says, Yayena veti hantaram yaschaiva manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanetah nayam hanti na hanyate. The person who thinks that I kill that Atma, that is the Atma, with that Atma I can kill that Atma, neither he nor if he says that someone can kill me, that is the Atma. He is speaking from the stand of Atma. Lord Krishna is speaking from the stand of Atma. If someone thinks that I can kill the Atma or anyone else can kill me, slay me, then they both do not know about the Atma. The Atma is indestructible. No one can kill the Atma, and the Atma also cannot kill anyone, because first thing, it is non-dual. There is no separation in it. That's very beautifully explained by Lord Krishna. Atma is akarta and abhokta. Akarta means it does not do any action. The expression of the Atma is the mind, that is, with the help of Maya, with the help of Prakriti, the Atma expresses through the mind and the mind expresses through the body. So karta and bhokta, karta means the doer and bhokta means the enjoyer. Both are this, not the Atma, it is the mind. It is the body, through the body it goes to the mind. So actually the karta and the bhokta are the mind and not the Atma. It is akarta and abhokta. So Atma cannot slay anyone, and when no one else can slay him, that is very beautifully explained. He who takes the self to be the slayer and he who thinks it is slain, that is, it is killed, they both do not know about the Atma. Very beautiful verses by Lord Krishna in the 19th verse, that is the 19th mantra of Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, and the 20th verses. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्य अशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित्. It is not born. Jayate means born. Mriyate means death. The Atma is never born and it never dies. Only when it is born, it dies. It is never born and it never dies. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah. Na bhuyah. It will never goes out of existence, having come into existence. Now it is existing. No one knows from when it has come to existence. Anadi. No one knows, beginningless. Having come into existence, it will never go out of existence. It is eternal. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranaha. It is unborn, aja, nitya, eternal, shashvata, changeless. When we say changeless, it is only the anatma that changes. Only there is a combination of elements, it goes under change. There are 6 stages of change. That is, first it will exist. Only that which exists can be born. When it is born, it grows. And when it grows, it changes in shape or in any of its nature. And when it changes, it automatically goes into decay. And when it decays, after that disintegrates. So these changes are not there for Atma because Atma does not have any part. Atma is so subtle. So it's Shashvata, changeless, Purana, ancient. This Atma is Purana. It is beginningless. No one knows when it has come into existence. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It will not be killed even if the body dies. It is eternal, and that Atma is we. That we are that Atma. Lord Krishna is not telling about the Atma which is somewhere else. It is not out of this universe or in heaven or in Vaikuntha. No, he is telling about our pure nature. He is telling about our nature, who we are. He is explaining. And that we are that Atma. But now, due to our misconception, we think that we are that Anatma. And this misconception is not going to fade away from our mind so easily because so many years we have been trained in it. So we have to contemplate these verses or these mantras so that automatically it gives deep impression in our mind. We are that Atma and we live in this world body, in this physical world with this physical body. But in reality, we are that Atma and Lord Krishna is explaining who we are. Veda vinashinam nityam yayenam ajam avyayam katham sapurusha partha kanghadayati hantikam. This is also another way of explaining the Atma, and Lord Krishna explains the nature of the Atma in different ways so that these verses or these slokas will be embedded in our mind, will form impression in our mind. It is Vinashi, Avinashi. Veda, that is Veda, know it as Avinashi. Avinashi means again indestructible. It cannot be destroyed. Nitya, eternal. And this self, it is Ajam, unborn. Avyayam, indestructible, inexhaustible, and all that meaning. Indestructible, avyaya. It is unmanifest also. You can say avyaya means unmanifest. Vyakta means becoming clear. Avyaya means unmanifest. Katham sapurusha partha kan ghatayati hantikam. How can you think? What is the cause for your thought that you think that you are killing them? This Atma is, no one can destroy this Atma. Then how can you think that you are killing them? From where did you get this thought? You are killing only the gross body. So Lord Krishna is speaking this from the platform of Atma. So there are different ways of explaining. First, from the physical platform, he explained that why do you worry? You have this weakness of mind, so lift your mind from it. From the physical level, he talked like this. Now, standing from the platform of Atma, he is explaining all this to Arjuna. वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णान् यन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. So Dehi, it is that embodied soul. Now he speaks from the platform of the embodied soul. That's why I said he explains both the embodied soul and the Atma. Both are same, just like how I explained with the pot and the reflection of the sunlight, pot of water and reflection of the sunlight. Vasamsi jirnani. Vasamsi means cloth. Jirnani means old cloth. Yata vihaya, how we throw, we discard the old cloth. Navani grihnani narobharani. Navani, we get new cloth and we accept, grihnani, we accept the new cloth, just like how we discard the used up, torn away old cloth and accept new dress or new cloth. Tatha, like that, sharirani vihaya jirnani. Just like that, discard this old body, which cannot do any more karmas, to any more set of karmas. Because when the prarabdha karma has exhausted, there is no other way the jiva has to go out of this old body. After the jiva exhausts its prarabdha karma, it goes out of the body. So Lord Krishna is saying, just like where you discard the old clothes and accept the new clothes, just to throw off this old body and Sayyani Navani Dehi, this embodied soul, it will accept a new body. He explains about the transmigration of soul here. Now the next verse is, that is the 23rd verse. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापः न सोक्षयति मारुतः. Here Lord Krishna is again telling about the self, the Atma. Cheda, chindandi means, cheda means cut. This Atma, that is this self, cannot be cut by any shastrani, by any weapon. It cannot be cut by any weapon. Nainam dahadi pavakaha. Pavaha means that is the fire, the hot fire. Dahadi means burn. Fire cannot burn it. Fire cannot burn the self. Na chainam kledayadi apaha. Apa means water. It cannot be made wet by the water. Sochayati marutaha. Maruta means air. It cannot be dried by air. So this Atma is so subtle and it does not have any parts. Only if there are parts, we can cut it, we can burn it, and it should be gross also. We can cut it, we can burn it, we can dry it, we can wet it. But this Atma, that is this self, is cannot is so subtle, and it does not have any parts. This space itself is subtle. Can we cut the space, or can we wet the space, or can we burn this space? Fire exists in the space, but it cannot burn it. If space itself it is like that, then this self is million times more subtler than this. It is so subtler than even this space. When comparing with the self, Atma, this space is grosser because it comes under the 5 elements. So you cannot do all this to the space itself, but then how can we do it to the self? It is so subtle and non-dual. So we cannot burn it, we cannot cut it, we cannot make it wet by water, we cannot dry it. That's what Lord Krishna is telling about the self in this verse. Now the next verse also, that is the next sloka also, explains the same concept but in different words. Lord Krishna is telling this concept from the different view, from the different angles, so that all these words or slokas are impressed in our mind. The 24th sloka is Achedyo yamadahyoyam akledyo socha evacha nitya sarvagadastanuhu achaloyam sanatanaha. Achedya, it cannot be cut. Adahya, it cannot be burned. Akledya, it cannot be made wet. Atsocha, it cannot be dried. This Atma cannot be cut or cannot be burned, or cannot be made wet or cannot be dried. It is Nitya, always present, eternal. Sarvagada, all pervading. Because it's non-dual, so it's all pervading. Sthanuhu, stable. It is so stable, firm. It is not an object to say that it's so stable like a table or anything, but it is so subtle and it is so firm, stable. Achala, immovable. Only when it is finite and it has part, it can move. I can move this book, or I can move anything, any furniture here, but I cannot move the Atma, or I cannot move this self. It is immovable. It does not have any parts, and it is so subtle. So I cannot move it. Sanatana, ancient. No one knows when it came into existence. So that is about the self. Lord Krishna describes the self. And the next verse, that is the 25th verse, is Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadhevam viditvainam nanusochitum arhase. This particular word, nanusochitum arhase, this word, particular pada, it gets repeated in all the many of the following slokas. Nanusochitum arhase means you don't deserve to grieve for it. Don't grieve for it, because this self is that. Avyakta, it is unmanifest. Vyakta means manifest. Avyakta means it is unmanifest. It is so subtle. Achintya, you cannot think about it. Even the great sages, after coming from the meditation, they cannot describe the Atma. They can give an outline like this, but exactly what that self is, no one can describe. We have to go deep into ourself, contemplate on it, understand it, experience it, realize it. It cannot be, it is not an object to think about it, or it's not a place to think about it. It is so subtle, that is our self, because to think we need the mind. The mind itself exists in the self. Then how can the mind think about it? If it is separate from the mind, if it is at a distance, or if it is other than the mind, then the mind can think about it. But the mind itself exists in the self. So it is unthinkable, achintya. Avikarya, it is unchangeable. It does not change. As I said, there are 6 different states for change. It does not pass into any one of that state, so it doesn't change. Like this, many people say about the Atma. Tasmadevam viditvainam. So having known this Atma, or known this self like this, it is cannot be manifest. You cannot think about it. Having known the self as this, Nana sochitum arhasi, why do you grieve for it? He asked Lord Krishna asked Arjuna. The next verse, that is the 26th verse, says, Atha chainam nityajadam nityam va manyase mrutam tathapi tvam mahabaho naivam sochitum arhasi. If you think that this self is always born, even if you cannot understand the self so clearly, and if you think that if it is always born, nitya jadam, always born, nitya mridam, it will always die. So what is born should pass through the phase of death. If you think like that, it is constantly born. Being constantly born, it has to constantly die also. So why do you worry for it? Lord Krishna asked Arjuna. The same concept is said in a different way in the next verse, that is the 27th verse also. Jadasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mrutasya cha tasmat apariharyete na tvam sochitum arhasi. So if you think that it is always born, so whatever is born will definitely, dhruva, firmly, it will die. Definite. If birth is certain, then death is also certain. Apariharya. Parihara means you can't find a solution. Apariharya means you cannot find any solution. So whatever is born will one day die, because it is a combination of the 5 elements. But here Lord Krishna is telling about the self. Arjuna, if you think that it is always born, then it will have to pass through the phase of death. It will die one day, and whatever dies one day will be born again. So why do you worry for it? If a birth is certain, death is also certain. It is inevitable. Apariharya, it cannot find any solution for it. So do not give for anything which is so certain. Anyway, it will happen. If you worry or not, it will happen. So why do you worry for it, Arjuna? Nanu sochitu markasi. That's what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. In the next verse, that is the 28th verse, he again tells about the nature of the Atma. Avyaktadini bhudani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Tatra ka paridevana. Why do you worry? Because avyakta adi, in the first, in the beginning, it is avyakta. It is unmanifest in the beginning. Vyakta madhyani, it became manifest in the middle. In the beginning, it was unmanifest. In the middle, it was manifest. Nidana means end. Again, it will become unmanifest. So why do you worry for it? So all the creation we see, they were unmanifest in the beginning. Now, at the present stage, and for some time it is manifest. Again, after some time, it will go unmanifest. So, just like many places, they change in front of our eyes. They take change. And some they get destroyed, and there will be no sign that it existed. Even in our lifetime, we see many places or many things like that. The house that was once there, completely it will get demolished and it will become a plain ground or something else will come. So in front of our eyes itself, it's so happening. So what about the future? So in the beginning, it was unmanifest. Then now in the middle stage, it is manifest. And after some time in the future, it will become unmanifest again. So why do you worry for it? And it's say many people say that the universe itself will go out of existence. The scientists say that. So what Lord Krishna says is so true. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवश्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. I think this sloka Lord Krishna tells to we, the students of Bhagavad Gita. He says that some people, they see the Atma in wonder. See here in the real sense, it is to think about the Atma in wonder. And some people tell about this Atma in wonder. And some people, they hear about the Atma in wonder. So the person who saw the Atma in wonder, heard about it in wonder, or tell about it in wonder, they do not know about the Atma in reality. Why he says this is, Atma cannot be explained. It is not a different matter to see or to think about, or it is not a matter or object to tell about it. You can only realize Atma. And that too in our deep mental state. When we come to the external mental state, we cannot explain it because it is, that's what in the last verse he said, it's unthinkable. It is so subtle. Can you explain about this space? You can say it's vast, that's all. You can say that because it's one of the 5 elements. So for that itself you cannot explain. How can you explain about the Atma or the self? You can realize it. I am that. I am that self. You can realize it. That also in deep meditative state. That's why when you ask the sages how the Atma will be, they cannot explain. How the self will be, they cannot explain. Lord Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, to his devotees, whoever approach him and ask him what is this Atma or what is his self, or when he see a devotee of one of his devotee, he will ask, who are you? So the first we will say, I am that, my name is that, I am that person, I am working here. When I say I am that person, that is your name, but who are you? And so next thing we will say, I am working here, I studied this, so that is your intellect. Who are you? Then we will blink and we will say, I come from here. That is your physical body moving from here and there. Who are you? At one stage, we will not have any answer. So that is the beginning of the state of realization. Whoever goes near him, Lord Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, he will ask this question, who are you? So just like that, Lord Krishna is telling, if the person could speak about the Atma in wonder, because it's a wonder only, we have never heard about it before. Hear about it in wonder, see about it in wonder, tell about it in wonder. They do not know the Atma. In Upanishad also, there is a similar sloka like this. The person who say that I know Atma, or the person who say I have seen the Atma, they do not know the Atma. The person who say I know about the Atma, then one must understand that he do not know about the Atma, because the Atma cannot be known. It is not an external object or a matter. It can only be realized. And even the realized sages, they cannot explain the self. They cannot explain the self. They can only guide us to go into that state. Only guide. We have to realize it. So that's what Lord Krishna says in the 29th verse. And the next verse, Dehi nityamavadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam sochitumarhasi. This Dehi and Deha, it is not only for human beings, it is for all the beings, the same concept. And this Atma, it is Nityam. This self is always present, eternal. Avadhya. Avadhya means indestructible. So that is the self. So it is this Atma, this self is for all beings. This self is the same for Arjuna. This self is the same for we, the students of Bhagavad Gita. This self is the same for Duryodhana. This self is the same for Dronacharya, Bhishmacharya. The self is the same for everyone, even for Dushasana. It is the same. So for all beings, it is the same. So you need not worry when the physical body falls off. That's what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. You do not grieve for any creature. Whoever dies, Sarvani Bhutani, it is the same for all beings. So you need not worry about the death, because it's only the falling off of the physical body. You have to do your karma and do not grieve for it. But at the same time, you have no right to disturb or hurt any physical body, because that will become adharma. If we do it with other than our duty to disturb any being, then that is adharma. But when you do your duty, and then what that duty must be very clearly defined, very clearly defined, or otherwise we may do papa. So you need not worry for any being, because all the beings, they have this Dehi, that is the self, the Atma. That's what Lord Krishna says in this 30th verse. And I think I can take a break and continue with the rest of the slokas in my next video. And before concluding this video, I will chant the last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Srir Vijayo Bhuti Dhruva Dhruvani Tirma Tirmama. These words, that this sloka is said by Sanjaya after hearing this Bhagavad Gita directly from Lord Krishna, and by the grace of Veda Vyasa. Only by that divine vision he was able to hear the Bhagavad Gita. Other than Arjuna, he was the only person to hear it directly from Lord Krishna. And after completely telling the Gita to the King Dhritarashtra, in that elevated moment, Sanjaya says that wherever Yogeshwara Krishna is there, Yogeshwara means the Lord of the Yoga. Wherever Lord Krishna is there, and wherever Dhanurdhara Partha, that is Arjuna, he is the great archer, wherever he is there, then in that place there will be Shri, prosperity, Vijaya, victory, Bhuti, that is all the happiness. Dhruva, firmness of mind, that decisive power, correct decisions, firmness of mind, niti, dharma, all this will be there. So which implies that wherever this Bhagavad Gita is read, but because only here they both come together for a long period of time. Even there are so many incidents in Mahabharata, but here it is a direct advice given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. So wherever this Bhagavad Gita is read or heard or thought about, in all these places, when they both go or together, all these will be there. That's my conviction. That's my strong belief. Sanjaya tells. So this is the last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu.